Hi, I'd like to welcome you to my virtual classroom. Today, we will be discussing how to compare and contrast text. We're going to start by looking at some images. Some questions I would like for you to consider with the images on the screen are, what color is it? What is the length of it? How many windows are on this object? How many people would fit into this object? Is this object used for driving? Would this be an object that you will use daily or probably on special occasions? Okay. Now, let's ask the same questions about this object. Now, some of the answers would be the same and some would be different. So once again, what's the color? What's the length? What are the amount of windows? How many people would be able to ride in this object? Is this object something that can be driven? Would this be something that would be driven daily or on special occasions? Now you see the two objects on the screen. Now that you see both of them, you can use a Venn diagram, which is two overlapping circles, to talk about the similarities and the differences. Now, where the two circles overlap, that's where you would talk about the similarities. Okay? And on the outer edges, where the two circles do not overlap, is where you would discuss the differences. How to compare and contrast text. For fiction, ask yourself, what is the main ideal of each story? What is the setting of each story? And that includes the time and place. Who are the characters? What are they like? Do the characters stay the same or do they change throughout the selection? What are the conflicts? How are they resolved? Are there internal conflicts or external conflicts? Which characters, if it is the characters, which characters share the conflict? What is the plot of the story? So what's the order of the story? What's the exposition? What's the rising action? What's the climax? What's the falling action? What's the resolution? Now, when talking about nonfiction, you need to ask yourself, what's the main idea of each selection? What is the subject of the selection? What is the scope of the selection? In other words, how much detail does the author go into when discussing the topic? How is it organized? In other words, what type of text structures are used? And what is the author's purpose in writing each selection? How to compare and contrast text. Text 1. I don't think insects are scary. In fact, I think they're interesting and fun to watch. I also think most insects are beautiful. Okay? What kind of text would you believe that is? Is it fiction or nonfiction? Okay? Text 2. Spiders terrify me. I saw a spider the other day and I just about jumped to the ceiling. It looked like it was hungry and I didn't want it munching on my leg. Once again, consider the different aspects of that text and determine whether it could be fiction or nonfiction. Okay. Text 1, the scope is all insects. It's very general. The main idea, insects are interesting. Okay. Text 2, the scope is narrow. It only discusses spiders. Okay. The main idea, spiders are scary. But both texts, the similarities between the two texts is the organization of the main ideal and details and the subject, insects. Let's read two stories and answer the questions that follow. The first one is entitled The Blue Light. Once a soldier who served the king faithfully was discharged from the army and had nowhere to go. He wandered until he found an old woman living in a hut. He asked her for shelter. She replied, "I will take you in if you do what I wish." The soldier consented. The next day, the old woman took him to a well, and he saw a blue light glowing at the bottom. "Bring me the blue light, and I'll exchange it, and I will give you gold," she said with a smile. The soldier agreed, and she lowered him down. He grabbed the blue light, and then the woman began to pull him up. However, when he came near the edge, she stretched down her hand to take away the blue light. "No," he said, realizing she planned to trick him. "I will not give you the light until I am out of the well." The old woman became furious and let go of the rope. The poor soldier fell but was not hurt. In the glow of the blue light, he could see an underground passage. He walked using the light to guide his way. Along the way, he found an old chest full of treasure. The soldier took as much as he could carry. Soon, he found his way out, and as he left, the blue light in his hand vanished. Okay, our second selection, the trade. A very wealthy merchant lost all of his goods at sea. Upon hearing the news, he fell to the ground and wept. An old woman approached him and asked why he was upset. "I have lost all that is precious to me," he told her. "I can help you regain your wealth if you promise to give me the first thing that touches you when you return home." The merchant agreed. He returned home, and as soon as he came through the door, his young son hugged him and laughed. The merchant was now horrified by the deal that he made with the old woman. Time passed, and he regained his wealth. He soon forgot about the trade. However, when the son turned 12, the old woman arrived. The merchant cried and pleaded with her. His son said, "Father, she has honored her word, and so should we." The boy left with the old woman. Day after day, he worked for her. When he became a young man, she said to him, "Walk until you see a large lion. Don't be afraid. Kill it, and you will be rewarded." When the young man found the lion, he saw it was about to kill a beautiful princess. He killed the lion with one arrow. The princess was so grateful to be saved that she promised the young man anything he wished. The young man requested a horse, which the princess happily gave him. The son rode the horse and returned to his father. The merchant was overjoyed. Now let's consider these questions. In what ways are the two stories similar? A, they both are about gaining wealth through deception. B, they both have evil old women as characters. C, they are both about honoring one's word. D, they both suggest that people must pay for their mistakes. Okay, the second question. What is one difference between the two stories? A, the first one is about an old woman who makes a deal to gain treasure. The second is about a merchant who makes a deal and loses what he truly treasures. B, the first shows how greed makes people bad and selfish. The second shows that greed can lead to the heart's true desire. C, the first is about a confused hero. The second is about a loyal young boy. And D, the first shows that bad people get what they deserve, and the second shows that bad people sometimes win in the end. Okay, consider your answers and choose the most appropriate one. Pause the video if necessary. For number 1, you should have chosen they are both about honoring one's word. That's how these two stories are similar. In both stories, the main character had to honor their word that they made to the old woman. Okay? Number 2, what is one difference between the two stories? B is the appropriate answer. The first shows how greed makes people bad and selfish. Okay? And the second shows that greed can lead to the heart's true desire. Now, if you have further questions and need to discuss in more detail, please don't hesitate to consult your teacher. Thank you.